Hey everyone, hey, Calc here, and welcome to what is my first live stream for Novation TV. It's a real pleasure to be here, and thanks very much for joining us, and welcome. Hope everything's going well this Friday evening for you all. So yeah, basically, I'm just going to bring some of this down now. I'm just having a little play around here on the SL MKIII. You'll see here, it's running live. And yeah, let's just move a few bits out. So, there we go, getting lost in the moment again. So, yeah, well, as I say, welcome. Thanks very much for joining us. This is my first live stream for Novation TV. And this is what is going to be, hopefully, the first of quite a few. I mean, throughout this unusual period of lockdown, essentially, we want to give you as much interesting content and hopefully some good ideas for your music production, giving you as much of that as possible. Things are definitely not easy at the moment, but one thing that we all have in common is a love of making music. And, well, if you're like me, the gear that we make music on as well. So, as I say, this is the first of a number of different live streams that we're planned. I'm personally scheduled to have a live stream pretty much every Friday, 9 p.m. That's 9 p.m. British summer time, and that's going to be from now until the end of May. And we've gathered together quite a few. Please let us know, and you know, leave comments down below if you've got an idea for something you want to see from us at Novation. Also, there's the live chat as well, so I'm going to try and keep an eye on that. I mean, it's kind of crazy. We've got kind of lots of cameras, lots of stuff going on, and it's just me sitting in the room. So I'll try and keep an eye on everything and try and answer some questions as well as we're working through. Also keep an eye out for some other great content from my colleagues, Enrique, John and Esan as well. They've got some really cool stuff coming through, really great fresh new content that we're working on that'll be coming through in the next couple of weeks as well. So here we are in my studio. This is where I sit and make music down in Brighton in the UK. And this particular session, we're going to take a look at the SL MKIII. And the SL MKIII is, there we go, first error, no face camera. But basically, yeah, we're going to take a good look at the SL MKIII. And we're going to specifically look at a new feature that was added. This is a couple of weeks ago from now. This is the 1.3 update. And this has brought something very special to this instrument. Yeah, I mean, basically with the 1.3 update, there was one real key feature to that, and that was the addition of non-quantized recording into the sequencer, into the internal sequencer. So non-quantized recording, off-grid recording, it just really blows wide open what you're able to do with the sequencer. Really, really neat feature. When we've had a look at that as well, I'm going to go through some of the other features that we also added for the 1.2 update, because we've been refining and working hard on the SL and bringing a lot of the features that we want to see, but also that we're being asked for as well from you guys out there. So, yeah, let's crack on and take a look. So, before I do, I'm just going to quickly check into the chat here and see have we got any specific questions. Let's see. Okay, lots of people there. Hi, Inky. Hey, Finn, Marcus, Mike Gomez. Yeah, Savage TV as well. Good to see all you guys here. And of course, Jerome. Hey, Jerome. Good to see you, man. Cool. Okay, right. Well, let's crack on and yeah, let's have a play and see what we can do. Now, when we started off the live stream just before, I just sort of threw some stuff together. Literally, it was just this afternoon. And one thing I would say, for me personally, the SL MKIII is, it's just an incredible device. The things that you can do on this, this has become, for me personally, the way that I like to make music. You know, I've got the SL Mark III sitting here in front of me. You can see in the shot as well, we've got various different things also kind of just behind the SL. And obviously in the camera shot here as well, you can see I've got a whole kind of wall of stuff going on there. But the SL for me is really kind of the centerpiece for all of that. And everything in this room can be controlled and recorded and sequenced and also automated as well directly from the SL Mark III. So let's just sort of start off. And as I say, the main thing that we're going to look at really is going to be the non-quantized recording that we have. I mean, it's actually a super simple feature on paper, but as I've mentioned before, it really kind of just opens things up hugely when you're recording your sequences and working with your sequences. So, okay, now I'm going to just explain the way things are set up here. So I've got 8 different tracks set up here, and I can access those just quickly by these top buttons at the top here. And the first thing I'm going to concentrate on is the Octatrack track. Now, this is obviously controlling the Octatrack directly in front of me here. And I've got these faders to control all the volume controls for the Octatrack's audio tracks. So I just have got some basic loops and stuff in here. So let's just hit play. You can see the sequence is running. You'll probably be able to see here as well that the Octatrack's running. And this is just this is track 1. Got a nice kind of little break there. Another break there. A slow down break here, lots of breaks, interesting kind of off-kilter timing thing, and yeah, some more beats. And you know, I'm just going to mix these kind of together, and this kind of forms the foundation for a bit of rhythm for me. So, you know, I've got a little kind of clock, if you like, to work there. That's now the beats are kind of my metronome. But also, actually, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just turn it down. I'll go over to this track. Now, over in the corner, just behind me, I've got a Roland TR-08, the boutique 808 device. And again, I've got a mapping on here, and this is really neat. So if I just... Hopefully you can hear that now. I've got the kick drum running, so I'm just going to put a kick drum on each of these 4 steps. Just give me a nice bit of kick there. And because of the mapping that we've got as well, I can kind of use the tuning here for the kick drum as well. Now that's not something you can actually do on the device itself without going into a menu, but here I've got it live and I can actually just completely automate that as well. So that's a really nice thing anyway. But I digress because I'm here to talk, as I say, about the kind of the non-quantized stuff. So I'll just quickly throw some extra sounds in, just a very super simple breakbeat here. Just level those off a bit. Okay. And just get a bit of control, a bit of the decay here, again using these controls that I've already mapped. I mapped these during the components thing. Okay, so we've got something that I can basically use as a metronome now, and I'm going to go to my Yamaha Reface CP. Now you can't see that under the camera shot, the face shot here, but I really love the Yamaha Reface CP. It just sounds great, and there's just so much you can kind of do with that. So here is my Reface track. So let's just get rid of all the kind of the effects on that I don't need. There we go. Okay, so we've got this now running, and basically non-quantized. What does that mean? Well, basically on a pattern for the SL, we have 16 steps, and prior to the 1.3 update, when you hit record, you would record onto these steps. The notes that you played would always start at the beginning of each of these 16 steps. Now, actually, underneath the steps, we've actually got micro steps. These were added in 1.2, and you could program those micro steps, but you couldn't really record directly into them. With the 1.3 update, now we give you the ability to record directly in. So I'm going to just try a very basic thing here. I'm going to quickly just create a two bar phrase. That'll do for now. So this is not 2 bars. Yeah, 2 bars. It's 2 patterns, so it's going to be 2 bars long at the moment. And if I press Shift and the record button, I'll Okay, you'll see now in my little fifth screen here, a little message that says record quantize on and off. Now for now, I'm going to keep it on. And this means that when I record, it's going to be kind of like the old behavior, if you like. This is pre 1.3 update. And I'm going to try and play some bits that are going to be maybe a little bit kind of sort of flat, sort of a lot of bit fluid. And well, we'll see what happens when I do that. So I hit record. So a nice broken chord there. Okay. Now if you hear, it's quantized that for me. It's not kept all of that broken chord. And in fact, let's just stop this now. So if I press the chord here, in fact, I'm going to go to my gate option page here, gate. And here I can see the micro steps. There I've got my 6 micro steps underneath each of these main steps. And if I press here, you can see I've got a single note there and then these notes here. So in real terms, in musical terms, these are kind of semi-quavers at the moment, the way that we've got the pattern sync set up. Okay, but what I want to do is kind of get a bit more of a flow in there. Let's just have another quick listen to this. Actually, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just bring down the TR8 and the Octatrack sounds there. Okay. Right, now let's bring the TR8 back in, bring in an Octatrack as well. Okay, and I'm going to go to my patterns page. This is neat. This was introduced on 1.2. I can now go directly to the patterns by just pressing the track button that I want. So let's go here, and automatically now at the top I've got my reface. So I'm going to clear those out. Okay, now let's try this with non-quantized record. So shift, record quantize is now off. And let's see what happens. So now if you can hear this chord here, there we go. There's a much kind of smoother like flow to the way that that's sounding. And actually, again, let's just stop it now and have a look at what that's actually doing on the step. So once again, go to my options page, the gate page, here we are. And if I press this button here, now, can you hear that? If I press this step, you're getting this nice break, this kind of broken chord sort of feel in there. And actually, if you look here at the micro steps as well, we've actually covered 3 of the micro steps there. Let's have a look at this one. That's just a single. Well, actually, no, you can see that's quite late on the step. That's the 6th tick, if you like, the last micro step there. So what we've done is we've really opened up that kind of ability to have a lot more expressivity into the way that you're playing. So this really opens things up a lot, and it just makes it a lot more fluid in terms of what you're doing. Right, I'm going to just quickly check in on some comments here. Let's just bring down the reface a little bit. Okay, well, I think people are quite happy with things so far, which is great. So yeah, nice. Okay, cool. Well, I'll carry on. Okay, so yeah, the micro steps are really quite an interesting thing. And actually, you can program micro steps individually as well. Let's just take a quick look at that. I'm going to go back to my reface here and just clear out those 2 patterns. And actually, I'm going to do this on the TR8 as well. So let's go to my steps page, and this was, let's bring down the Octatrack. So we're just listening to the TR8 now. Let's go back to that track. Here we go. And again, if I go to my options page and look at the gate here, you can see now everything is just starting directly on the beat. So let's say we want a nice triplet, maybe this note, this hi-hat, which is showing me here, if you can see on the screen, I'm getting the red thing there. So basically now I'm going to say, okay, well, let's work this out. So triplets, we've got 6 ticks per step. And the triplets basically will take up 4 steps. So I've highlighted it. I'm going to press that micro step. I'm going to add the note. There we go. That's it now. So the next thing is I'm going to say, okay, well, I want another note here. So I'm just going to place kind of a placeholder here. But if you remember, it's got to be 4 steps away. So there we go. Sorry, press that down, press the note. Okay. And now I can press here and get rid of that. There we go, get rid of it. Now, if I press this step, you see I've got 4 ticks. 1, 2, 3, 4 ticks, and then another 4 ticks. Let's have a quick listen to that. Okay, so you can see now we can actually use this to program up as well more intricate rhythms. But of course, with the 1.3 update, we can, if we've got the skills to do that, the finger skills to do that, you can actually record that stuff in there as well. Really, really strong, really strong. Now, I'm going to just have a little quick jam here, and I'm going to do that because I just want to get a little foundation for something. And I'm going to explore a little bit more with with the non-quantized record, because there are some really neat ways that you can really expand how long your patterns can be. Maybe as a little bit of background, I'll just explain what I'm planning on doing here. So I'm going to go to my sessions. Let's go to this. I use this one as my template session, and that's just simply because I've stored all the tracks that I've got that I want to access in there. And I'll just bring up the Octatrack as well. So now, what do I mean about extending the patterns? Well, the SL MKIII has 8 patterns. Those 8 patterns are 16 steps each. So if you consider 16 steps to be 1 bar, then you've effectively got 8 bars that you can record into, 8 sequenceable bars. But the SL MKIII also features a really strong way of managing your patterns, and this is called pattern sync. So what does that mean? Well, I'm going to go back to this reface page here, and I'm going to go to my options here, and I have a pattern option. And I don't know if the screen will actually let you see this, but this pattern option opens up a little window here on the screen, and I have a thing here called sync rate. Now at the minute that's set to 16, so if I hit play, you'll just see 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just running through, giving me a single bar. Now if I drop this sync rate down to 8ths, for example, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've basically halved the speed resolution of that pattern. So this is a great way of making one pattern actually last 2 bars. But we can go further. And this is where things can get really interesting, because if I drop it down to a quarter note, when it gets to the end here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now one pattern is worth 4 bars. So if we put that into context, there's 4 bars. And if I duplicate this across all of these other patterns here, I've got 8 times 4. I've got a 32 bar sequence available to me now. Now, previously, there was a bit of a drawback to that because, of course, we didn't have non-quantized record. So, even though we had kind of a 4-bar pattern, we could only really record in to each of the quarter notes in a bar, the 1, 2, 3, 4 of the bar. But now we have non-quantized record as well. We can actually go deeper beyond those quarter notes. In fact, we can go to, I think it's 30-second triplets is the actual resolution. But if you slow the pattern down, what that means is we've got a lot more scope for getting more intricate, or more intricate kind of rhythms and stuff in there, even though we've reduced or really slowed that resolution down. Let me show you what I mean. I'm just going to make it a 2-bar pattern here. And I'm just going to record in again. Now, I've got to be a bit careful here because I've got this microphone. Makes it a bit difficult to record over the microphone, but let's see what happens. I'm going to hit record, make sure we're on non-quantized, so record quantize off. There we go, and then So there we go. I've just used 2 patterns, but I've actually got 8 bars worth of music. Now this really opens up a lot of possibilities. Now let's not forget, this is one session. So one session is 8 tracks with 8 patterns, potentially 32 bars, as we've discovered if you use the quarter speed. But also, we've got, in the sessions here, we've actually got 64 sessions. So that's tons and tons of real estate for you to record into. It's a really, really powerful thing. I mean, you know, I've done live sets using the SL MKIII, and I've been able to kind of, you know, get a good 40 minutes out of probably about 8 sessions or something like that, and we've got 64 of them. So, you know, it's really, really strong. Okay, this is sounding quite nice, but let's go a little bit more. I'm going to add in an SH101. So up there in the corner, you can't really see in this camera, I've got a fantastic old SH101. Had that for some time. I think that was bought in the 80s when I was but a boy. So let's go to my patterns here, and yeah, I'm going to make it 8 bars long. So this is now using full speed resolution. Now here's an interesting thing as well. Again, on the 5th screen here, this was brought in on the 1.2 update, and this is now giving us a little monitor for which patterns we're working. And this is really, really useful. It lets you just keep an eye on where you are in your sessions, in your patterns. Really nice little addition there. Previous to that, you didn't have this little indicator. So this really opens things up nicely. So I'm going to turn record quantize on for this because, well, I'm doing it live. I'm streaming live, trying to manage an OBS broadcast, record music and deliver a bit of a presentation as well. It's all good fun, but let's see what happens. So there we go. Let's take record off. I'm going to bring in another beat on the octave track, I think. Why not? Okay, now I'm going to go to this little box again behind the camera here. You can't really see. I've got a really wonderful little sampler called a beat squeezer. Big shout out to my mate Calcutt, who originally kind of put me onto that. But this thing is brilliant. I mean, it's just a little sample player. You just load it up with your samples. It's really, really great to use. So I'm going to go to the beat squeezer track, and I'm going to bring in all 8 parts for that as well. Now you notice I'm holding shift. When I hold shift, basically keeps everything in clock. So, I mean, if I just press this 2 buttons now, see now, I pressed it at the wrong time because I was in time. But if I press it again now, let's do that. Now you see it's going to start from pattern 1, even though I'm kind of on the, which one am I on? On the SH101, I'm on pattern 8, on the beat squeezer. Where am I? Now I'm on pattern 8 now, so it gets really confusing. But if you press shift and do that, everything's locked in time. You can see now here, 7, 8. So banging now. Okay, so I've got the beat squeezer. I'm going to turn off quantize. Actually, before I hit record, I'll just check the sound. There we go, I think that'll do. So I'm going to hit record and just jam over the top and see what happens. Bit of a trill there. So just keep going, you know, just add this in there. Really nice. Now let's listen out for that trill. Hey, there it is, great. And you know, again, that previously wasn't available to be done on the SL MKIII, but now with 1.3 with the non-quantized record, it's in there for you as well. So now what else can I do? Well, I'm going to start to play around with the beat squeezer sounds. Okay, now let's see in some of the questions, let's see if we've got anything there. So I'm going to have to scroll up a bit, I think, here. Cool. Okay. More banks for encoders and faders and buttons per template. Wow, okay. Well, I mean, that's certainly something, you know, that we can pass on to the development team. One thing I would say personally, though, is I've got more than enough here for me. I mean, you know, actually, this is a really neat thing. I'm recording, you know, I'm playing my stuff at the moment, and here I've got a blooper set up. I've used, again, that's off camera, that's a Chase Bliss blooper. Again, another really, really lovely thing, and this is all MIDI'd up, so I can use that with MIDI. But let's say I don't want to use the blooper. The track is playing, I'm going to press Shift and Templates, and instead of blooper, we're going to choose instead Autobit Junior. I have an Autobit Junior over here, MIDI'd up as well. So let's just go back. Now I've got the Autobit Junior available to control. So I guess in answer to that particular question, more encoders, more faders, more pots, all that sort of stuff, you've got absolutely tons of stuff here. There's nothing to stop me from having 3 or 4 different mappings for one device. And I can just flip between those and access even more parameters. So whilst, you know, I understand if you want more things on there, actually there's a way to be able to get around that already. So who's that question? That's Chris Calder Music. Thanks for the question, Chris, but that's certainly the way that I would look at it. Let's see, what else do we have? Can you program notes on each of those micro steps? Well, I think we just did that, so perhaps that came through before. Okay, just bear with me 1 second. I'm afraid my camera has now overheated, so I'm just going to bring you back to this screen for a second. I'm just going to reset the camera and hopefully we'll get the top-down shot back on. Live stuff, huh? Okay, so we're back in. I'm just going to tune up the camera. Okay, I think that's fairly tight from what I can see. Anyway, let's go back. Sorry about that, guys. As I say, we're kind of doing all this live. So let's see. Okay. Alt V7 says must be a Sony camera. You got it. I have to say I love it, but it's a shame it does overheat after a little bit of time. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, I'm going to finish up soon. There is one other thing that I wanted to mention, and actually I saw a Facebook post about this recently, and that's about having a chord mode on the SL MKIII. Again, this was something that appeared in 1.2. Now, it's not a specific chord mode, but it's a really nice little technique. So I'm just going to kind of share this one with you. So I'm going to go back to my sessions. Let's just clear out that session. Ah, well, hey, it was that moment. It'll come back at some point if it needs to. And so I'm going to go back to the reface. And now, from the 1.2 update onwards, the mute switches will actually obviously stop the sequence of playing, but what it won't stop now is the ability for you to use the pads to audition your sounds. I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm just going to quickly, well, let's get rid of that A, let's go, and then I don't know, I'm just kind of randomly choosing notes here around a microphone. Okay, and we'll maybe go, I don't know, let's go. Let's take the drive down a bit. Push it up a touch on the volume. Okay, then we've got the reface, and hang on, there we go. And obviously that's playing. Now, if I mute that, obviously it's not going to play. I've muted the sequencer. However, let's bring a bit of reverb on, why not? So I've got these nice chords that I can play with. So if I bring in the octatrack, got that beat. Let's change the beat up a bit. Let's go for kind of similar, but it'll do. Okay, that'll do, I think. Okay, back to the reface track. So you can see now, you can use these pads to play. Really neat. Now notice, as I'm holding the pad down, the notes are red, and that means if I press another note, there we go, it's going to add that to that pad. So what if I want to use this as kind of a backing, but actually play over the top, again using maybe the Yamaha reface as I'm doing here at the minute? Well, we've got a way to do that as well. And it does mean I've got to use another track, but hey, that's absolutely fine by me. So I'm going to go here, which is currently going to the Summit over here. But instead, I'm going to go to my templates, and I'm going to choose the reface template that I've made. Let's see, where is it? It's in here somewhere. Reface CP, brilliant. That's coming out of MIDI DIN 1, not MIDI DIN 2, so that's that one. And it's coming out on channel 16, and I'm going to make that yellow as well. So now, reface and reface, both on basically occupying two tracks, but I'm using the same MIDI settings and track settings there. And of course what that means is I've still got my parts there and the chords, but now if I use the zones mode, what I can do here is I've turned zones on by shift and zones. Just press the zone button once without the shift to go to the menu, and I'm going to go to zone 1, and I'm going to say destination part 3. I'm going to press this again and say, okay, I want the zone to be there to there, so basically use the whole keyboard. Then I'm just going to go turn off all these other zones. Let's get rid of those. Okay, back to the steps page. Zones is on, so now if I go back to this page, okay, now if I'm in page 2, I beg your pardon, where the chords are, because I'm on a different track with the keyboard, because I've applied the zone setting to that, I can just very quickly use the keyboard and the pads as basically as a chord bank as well. It's a really nice thing. I guess it's almost a happy accident, if you like, because we've got the auditioning of the pads while that track's muted. So hit play. So, if you're like me and this left hand here is a little bit less able, and then the right hand when it comes to the keyboard, this is a real godsend. Yeah, it's a really nice way of working. So I'm going to go to the chat once again, and basically, I see there's a message there from Dan Blythe. Hey Dan, hope you're good, hope Quentin's good. And yeah, I think I'm probably going to finish off now. But yeah, so thank you very much for joining me. As I say, this is the first of the live streams. It's been a lot of fun. I've been enjoying working here with the SL Mark III for you. as I say, it's an absolute pleasure to use this for me personally. You know, I know I work at Novation, and I'm maybe a bit biased in that respect, but I have to say this is exactly the way that I personally want to make music. So yeah, so I'm going to finish up now. But do check in, as I said at the very beginning of the session, we've got a lot of great content coming through. And, you know, as I say, if you've got ideas for that, do leave them in the comments down below. Let us know what you'd like to see. And if we can do that, if we can fit that in, we're going to do so. But yeah, thanks very much indeed for watching. And yeah, I'm just going to hit play again and see what happens here. Let's go for this one. There we go. Thanks very much indeed. Finish with an SH101. Thanks very much indeed.